What's going on YouTube? Levi Old Iron Off-Road here today with another video. A couple things before we jump into it. First and foremost, I just wanted to take a second and say, if you are watching this video right now, stop what you're doing and click that little subscribe button right there. It really helps us out and we would greatly appreciate it. A couple other things I wanted to do before we got into this is just show you some of the forward progress that we've made on Mr. Big Bird off camera. Obviously, it's not entirely possible to film the entire build series. I'm a one-man band and it just really, for the sake of time, I just can't make it happen. But I'll keep you as up to date as possible so you feel like you're following along with the project in real time. A couple of things that we've got done on this project. We have the interior primed and bed lined. And we also have the cage that we built a while back from paint and is now resting in the tub. So we'll check that out. Nothing super fancy, just a couple of coats of Raptor liner. We've got some fabricated seat bases that will be going in for our Corbeau seats. And then you can see the cage in the background that we built a while back is now back from paint. So that's pretty much it. You guys are in the know on everything else. And today's video is regarding the Hydroboost install. So without further ado, let's jump into it. We've got to do some custom modification to the plate that goes in this vicinity here. So we have the factory plate here. We're actually going to ditch this. We'll use it for a pattern. We'll take some 3/16 flat plate, make our own plate to attach our Hydroboost unit and master cylinder to. First things first, we are going to modify the Firewall plate that the old brake master cylinder and what would have been the clutch master mounted to. Now this one's an automatic, so clutch master doesn't really pertain to us. So what we've got here, the old master cylinder mount, and we've got it sitting on a piece of 3/16 plate. Now we could totally modify this guy to fit or to house the Hydroboost unit, but I think for this situation, we're just gonna abandon ship and we're gonna go ahead and cut it out of a new piece of 3/16 plate and make that happy. So we're gonna get this guy cut out, some holes drilled, and obviously we've got two pedals on the old pedal box, which we only need one now. So gonna make that happen and get some holes drilled and tapped on the pedal box, get the plate that we cut mocked up, and then kind of figure out where the center of the push rod needs to go through to line up with the brake pedal, I'm sorry. And the Hydroboost unit we're using on this guy is out of a 92 Chevy Astro van. Let's cut some plate, punch some holes, and get some stuff mounted up. Alright, so we've got our plate drilled. Got our plate all cut out and drilled. We're tearing down the pedal box to remove the clutch pedal because obviously we don't need a clutch pedal anymore. Now I could have just taken a torch in here and buzzed it off, but there's some bushings and a few other little things on this, the rod that the clutch pedal and the brake pedal swing on. So now's a good time just to tear this stuff down, and I am just gonna clip this off, but like I said, now's a good time to just to double check condition of the bushings, clean stuff up and grease it. So that's what we're gonna do. Alright, we got everything cleaned up. Dab of grease, just a dab of grease, like you don't want to get silly. Just enough to give it some schlickum. we're also changing out the style of the brake light switch on this guy. Previously we have just a little bumper here. We're gonna get rid of that. We're gonna put a GM style brake light switch. We have to use a specific brake light switch to control the lockup on the torque converter. So we're gonna go ahead and get that ready to. That simple. All right, so armed with our new handy dandy firewall plate and the pedal box around on the inside, we're just gonna bolt a couple up for the time being, just to kind of get a reference. Make sure all our bolt holes somewhat line up and that we're all happy. Robust 3/16 plate. Looks like the bolt holes line up reasonably well. So now we're gonna go around to the inside, try to figure out where roughly we want the center of the Hydroboost unit to come through. One other thing you have to overcome when you're working on the Scout 8800s is obviously you've got a slanted firewall. And ignore if you can see this, I don't know if it's in frame or not, but there's a big nasty cutout hole. I didn't do that. This thing had some jank together vacuum booster set up on it when it came in. We threw it away. So one thing you have to contend with and you have to think about. So if you just, obviously we're not gonna mount that there, but that's just for reference sake. If you mount this thing flat to the firewall, you're gonna end up with a really stupid angle on it. Your front reservoir, your rear reservoir, your fluid level is gonna be weird. So what we're actually gonna do when we figure out center on this plate, we're gonna cut a section of this out, fold it inward, and we're effectively gonna pull this down closer to level. We're not gonna go all the way level. We're gonna leave some incline to it. That way it doesn't end up trying to occupy all this space, which honestly at this point, who cares if it does? I could cut it out and fix it. But that's just typically how we do it. So again, I'm gonna jump around to the inside and try to get a reference mark of where the pedal is gonna wanna hit this guy so we can get a center mark for where our push rod needs to come through, and then we can start modifying the plate from there. All right, so I took some time off camera to work this out in my brain. So there's a couple of things like I'd mentioned that we're gonna have to avoid, which is this edge of the pedal box. And basically what we're gonna do, the plate is gonna bolt to the other side like this. We've got our 4 holes marked. I don't know if you can see those or not. We basically I ended up shifting the plate over and down. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut these 3 lines, score this, fold the plate in just a little bit to compensate for the angle that we were dealing with on the firewall, and then I'll flip it over and actually start throwing some filler plates in here and get it all welded up and mounted back on the truck. All right, so we got the plate all welded out and the holes drilled and cut and happy. So now you can see what happens is this plate will have the Hydroboost bolted to it. This guy just drops in there. Jump over here. And I'm gonna have to clearance a little bit of this for that. I'm gonna have to clearance a little bit of that for the plate to clear. Then I should be able to bolt everything up and see what we look like. We've got the plate bolted up. You can see where I had to come in here and trim this lower area here, but we ended up skating past the pedal box without any modifications. I'm happy about that. And so now for the moment of truth, let's slip this guy in. Put a couple bolts in on the back side. Or nuts. Get your nuts. Get your nuts. Yeah. Let's see what we got here. And there it is, very nice. I'm actually glad whoever cut this hole cut it. We could have stood to have a little less of a hole, but we still have a proportioning valve bracket that's going to mount to the underside of this, and our proportioning valve is actually going to be down below here. So I'm going to go ahead, since this hole's already here, I'm actually going to cut it back to here and make a nice filler plate and weld that back up so that there's no weird holes in there. All right, we got this hole opened up here, mine nice and symmetrical, and I had to take it out a little further on this side because we have these brake lines on the side of our Corvette master cylinder and a little proportionate valve bracket that goes up underneath it. So we wanted to obviously make sure these brake lines cleared everything. So I'm going to chop out a couple of pieces of sheet metal to start filling that guy back in with, and we'll get on it. So we got this guy all cut out and filled back in, looking like it's supposed to. See, everything fits in there nice. We've got the proportionate valve tucked in underneath. We've got a port here that's going to come out and feed the front brakes, and then we've got the port in the back that's going to feed the rear. I actually only use 2 ports on these things. I will cap this with a proper inverted flare cap. And like I said, we'll use this one to feed the front brakes, and then we'll use this one to feed the rear. Like I said, bring this guy down, punch a hole in this area somewhere, and that should be good. Pretty happy with how that's turning out. We will take this stuff apart, squirt some paint on it. I'm going to take the Firewall plate, sandblast it, get a good tooth on it, and get everything bolted back together, and that'll be the last time hopefully we have to take it apart. The Firewall plate painted and bolted up. You can see I masked this little area off and painted it just to kind of protect it. Again, this isn't a restoration, obviously. So now, pedal box, I got the pedal drilled, and like I said, pedal placement's gonna work out pretty good. So not much left to do but bolt up the Hydroboost unit, bolt up the master cylinder, and bolt up the pedal. think that about wraps us up for this video. We've got the hard parts and the modifications that needed to happen to get the Hydroboost unit itself in there. It shouldn't have to come back out again. We are missing the push rod that goes between the Hydroboost unit and the master cylinder itself. We've got one of those coming. Obviously still a lot of things to be done as far as the braking system goes. Lines to plumb. Master cylinder needs to be bench bled. Quite a few things to do. And also on the Hydroboost unit, we've still got to run the pressure hoses. But just as far as the actual physical fitting of the Hydroboost unit and all that stuff, I hope you guys enjoyed following along with that. We probably on the next video is going to be interior cleanup, and I think we're going to get the roll cage thrown back in this thing. I don't know if I've showed you in any of the previous videos, but we built a pretty nice 6-point cage for this guy, and it's actually getting painted right now, so it will be going back in the vehicle. So stay tuned for that. Again, I hope everybody that's following along, guys, girls, men, women, whoever, if you're following along, I hope you enjoy following along. Please remember to like and subscribe. The subscribe button is right down below this video. Make sure you click it. It really helps us out. We're almost to 1,000 subscribers, and I want to say thank you to each and every one of you that watch these videos and follow along. It really means a lot that you take time out of your day to watch me ramble about stupid truck stuff. So I think that covers it. As always, enjoy.